to play and learn at home. I am Lisa, your youth librarian at the Westerville Public Library, and welcome to Sensory Bin Play. So this video is geared for ages 0 to 3. That said, sensory bins are easily adapted to older children as well. They are a great time for all members of the family. And what is a sensory bin, you may ask? It is exactly what it sounds like. It's some sort of bin with things that you put inside to explore your senses. Sensory play in general is great for children because, one, it develops a knowledge of what goes on and what exists in the world. And as they play, it develops neurons in your brain, or their brains, and which helps them learn to problem solve. It helps them learn to compare and contrast things around them. And it also kind of develops their vocabulary as you talk to them, and if they're playing together as they talk to each other, which is fantastic when they learn to read because they actually know what those things are. So to start off, you need some sort of bin. I prefer plastic. It is easy to clean and easy to move because it's lightweight. That said, you don't need plastic. You can use some type of pan. This is a bread pan. You can use a bigger one. I actually suggest the bigger the kind of bin, the better, because there's more surface space, especially if you have more than one child and you want them to play together. But if you don't have that, that's okay. You could use a bowl. You could use one of those big plastic bins. They're usually about this long and maybe this tall. You want something that's not super tall so the kids can easily get into them. You don't want it so they're like reaching all the way down up to their elbows. And then you could also use a cardboard box. It depends on what you want to put inside. If you're using a dry material, cardboard works fine. If you're using a wet material, obviously that is not going to go great. When it's nice outside, I suggest take your bins outdoors. It makes cleanup so much easier. If you're playing indoors, I suggest putting down some type of plastic tablecloth or a blanket. If you don't have that, that will help with the cleanup. So once you have your bin or bins, you need things to put inside. So you want some type of base thing that they can play with, and then tools or toys that they can play with too. So this one, if you look, it's white, is actually baking soda and hair conditioner. And what this does, when these mix together, it takes the baking soda from being kind of that powdery material to giving it a more clumpy texture, and it also smells very refreshing, and it gives it a cool texture. So it's very much like snow. I like to use this a lot in the winter months. That said, it is fun to play with no matter when. It's nice because kids can do things like roll balls. And then you want to put some type of toys or utensils. I have a plastic fork. There is a cookie cutter. Since this is a smaller bin, I'd actually suggest a smaller cookie cutter if you have that. This is not quite enough space to make lots of these. I have a straw that they can turn on. I've got a cooking ladle with holes in it, and let them play. And you can ask them kind of questions like, what does it feel like? Is it hot or cold? Is it clumpy? Is it messy? Is it soft or hard? All of those types of words, big or small, help develop the vocabulary. And for every kind of cup you use of this, you want about a half cup of that. That said, you can mix it until it feels good to you. You don't want it super liquidy because then it gets way too smushy. But you want it enough texture that it's not powdery anymore. And there will be a sheet that you can download that will have this information on it as well. So the next type of sensory bin, if you can tell from where you are, is water. So water is awesome because it's easy to get. Just turn on your sink or your hose if you're outside, and you can pretty much, if you have a water table, you can use that. They sell those, but any type of bin that's not cardboard. Water play is super nice because it's refreshing, it's cool. Don't use hot water, obviously, and put it outside and let kids splash around. So another kind of way to amp up water play is to add water. So you can see them coming down. So water beads, if you don't know, here's that. They start off as tiny little beads smaller than even a grain of rice, and then you add water to them. I actually use this bowl, and you fill them with water till they're covered with water, and they will soak up the water and become these little beads shapes. Usually they come in color. Orbeez is kind of the big name company for that, but I actually got these, I think I like Joann Fabrics. I was using them to as kind of a base for a flower arrangement in a vase, so they're clear. And it's kind of fun though when you have clear ones, because when you come up to this you can't see them right away, and then you like stick your hand in here and you're like, what is that? And water beads have, I mean, they have a very unique texture. They are very slick because they're basically a little plastic, wet plastic. For those of you that have really little kids that are still putting things in their mouths, water beads are not a good choice. If you wanted to use water beads, put them inside of a bag and make a sensory bag instead of a bin, because easy to go in the mouth. That's it. They are pretty, they do kind of bounce all over the place. So the nice thing is once they dry out, they are easy to vacuum if they're indoors. And put some things in here to play with them. You could use, I have a little strainer. It's nice because if you have a lot of water, it'll drip through. You can use, I have a little duck. If you've got bath toys, put your bath toys in here. You could use a cup, let them scoop. Kids in general will just like to stick their hands in these and play with them. You could use a ladle that has a hole in it, like this. I like that because it'll let the water beads fall through in the middle. It's a fun visual. If you get ones that are different colors, ask your kids, talk to them. What colors do you have? Water play is pretty easy to do, and it's a wide variety of things you can interact with. You could even get a straw like this and look, show kids how to blow bubbles. They will love that. So water play. So another kind of easy sensory bin is with rice. So this is 2 bags of rice. You can just buy the cheapest white rice. As you can see, I colored mine blue. I actually made this, I think a year ago. And it's super easy to color rice. You take your rice, your white rice, your food coloring, and vinegar, and you put it in a bowl, and it needs to sit and basically cover, a few drops of food coloring, whatever color you want, and cover the rice completely with vinegar and let it sit for a day. And then then you will lay it out on a piece of like wax paper or a cookie sheet and let it dry. It does smell like vinegar, so that's not super pleasant, but let it dry for a day, and then you will have your colored rice to play with. And I also stuck in some pieces of pasta, little bow ties here, and this is just something like, that's a little different, that as they're discovering inside of their rice play, something a little different to play with. And you can use things like scoopers. You have a funnel, again another sifter, using a cup. I got these plastic cups for I think like 50 cents at Goodwill. Kids love to scoop. I have seen kids play with rice and this specific cup for hours. And then you can see on the bottom of my bin, it's upside down right now, I wrote an L and a K, which are my initials. I just used painter's tape. And so for your little bit older kids, they can, once they get to the bottom, it's a little surprise, and they can trace their letters. Or you could put stickers. You could also put words for your even older kids. On the bottom, I use painter's tape, but you could also just write it in like a Sharpie. Mine's actually inside the container, but you can put it on the underneath as well. And let the kids trace and kind of learn literacy as well as they're playing. So rice. Other things you can put in sensory bins. You can do dirt. You could do sand. Sand is very popular. You could do grass. So if you have, leftover grass clippings from mowing, stick that in there. You can do beans, dry beans. So you could do wet beans too. It's very messy. They get really mushy. It's kind of all sorts of things. Another type of sensory bin you can do is a full immersion sensory bin. And that is one that your kids can actually get in. And the easiest way to do those is with a baby pool. So those big old blue plastic baby pools that you can get any kind, stick them outside or inside if it's bad weather, and fill them. Now, those are not the type of things you want to fill with like rice, because that's going to take a lot of rice. Maybe sand and dirt would be good, and grass would be good for those. The other thing we've done, that's another thing we've done, Easter grass. So this becomes super cheap when Easter is over at the store. It's an awesome thing to stock up with, and it's a very unique texture, and kids love sitting and playing with this. And honestly, you don't need anything else, just the baby grass. You can do balloons. Balloons of varying sizes. Let kids sit and throw those around. You could do balls. You could do, if you've got a lot of stuffed animals, fill it with stuffed animals. Receipt paper. One thing that we've done at the library that's very popular is pool noodles. So you buy, a pool noodle. I would say for a baby pool, you might need 3 or 4 of them. You can get them at the Dollar Tree for $1 each, and then you cut them into about 2-inch lengths. They cut really easy with a serrated knife that you would use to cut bread. You fill your pool with baby noodles, with pool noodles. You could also get a jump rope and some yarn or twine and let them, because they have a hole in the middle, let them string them. That's a great kind of fine motor skill, as well as counting if you wanted to count together. You could fill your pool, I think we already said balls. So balls, sand, grass, dirt, water, of course. You can do anything that is kind of large quantities. And just like with all of our sensory bins, and with the baby pools, you only really want to fill it about 1/4 of the way. Too much more and it gets heavy and it gets really hard to clean up, and which is no fun for anyone. And remember to, while your children are playing, to interact with them. Ask them questions about what they're doing. How does it feel? Ask them, what are they doing? What do they see? What colors do they see? Is it soft or hard? Is it liquid or solid? And they may or may not know what those things are, and that's okay. It builds vocabulary and makes them start to think. So sensory bins are wide open for different kind of things that you can do. And go ahead and get started. They are tons of fun, and they occupy your children for hours. Thanks for listening. This is Lisa from the Westerville Library. Check out our other videos for other DIY at-home playthings. And don't forget to download the instruction sheet for more tips and tricks. Bye.